y'all. So I am going to try something a little different today. I'm going to sit out here and I'm going to talk to you. So we'll see how that goes. How do I want to start this? First of all, I have a ton of little distractions out here. So bear with me. I wanted to do this outside because I needed the ambiance. And it's not so blaringly hot outside that I can actually do this. Now, I would normally not use this little mic. But I fear that the wind may make it difficult to hear me. So with that said, we're going to see how this goes. All the kitties are curious about what I'm doing. Anyway, with that said, today we're going to talk about, I don't even know how to word it, spirituality, dealing with stressors. I don't know how to word it. Perception. I mean, I talk about that in every video. I mean, I know what I'm going to talk about, but I don't know how to sum it up into words for you really well. So give me a moment. Let me reset myself. And yeah. You can do it with me if you'd like. Just listening to the chimes. The wind through the trees. Rustling the leaves. Even the distraction of my neighbors. Very heavy music. Rap music. I don't know what this tree over here is called, but it's, I used to know the name of it. It's got pink leaves. Let's see if I can show you up there. That one, up there. I think that's the same tree too, though. It's the same kind of tree. I don't know if you can hear them, but it's some serious stuff. It's probably not really music for the moment, but this is what we're doing. Anyway, so I don't know what to call this video, but it is really important, and it is, I would say it's the beginning of a journey. Like, I've always said that things happen to me like when they're supposed to, and we don't always realize that when we're going through struggles or challenging times in our life, that there's a reason for it. I know everybody says everything happens for a reason, but sometimes we go through those things as a reminder, and I'm a big believer of that. Now, I can't remember, or I don't know exactly what switched in me when I got clean and sober, and then started getting sane, becoming sane. I mean, as sane as possible. But something clicked into me, and it was right before I started my classes in psychology, actually. And because I had spent years journaling and then going back and rereading what I wrote. But when I journaled, it wasn't like, to me, Dear Diary is, Dear Diary, this is what I did, like the factual stuff of today. Or I felt this, blah, blah, blah. Journaling is like processing it. Like, I know he didn't mean it this way, but this is how it felt, so this is how I handled it, or this is how I handled it, and this is how I should have handled it, etc., right? So when I journaled, I kept getting sick of hearing that I was at fault for things when I was younger, which it's that whole you're always doing something wrong kind of thing, right? And it was never good enough. So when it did come time for me to own up or accept my faults, I struggled because it seemed like I was always in the wrong, even when I wasn't in the wrong. You know what I mean? So I was hard-headed in that way. Go figure. So something just made me click whenever I had spent a lot of time journaling how I felt and then re-evaluating that. Well, this is what he said. This is how I took it. This is how I think he meant. This is how I could have handled it. This is how I responded. Like, just going through the whole, every aspect of it. Trying to understand how people worked, why they treated others the way they did, how I ended up in these situations, why my feelings were hurt all the time, why other people didn't seem to care, all the stuff. And so I would journal. And while I'm journaling, I would think about, be like, well, this is how I felt. Oh, well, that is kind of like all the stuff you would think internally. I wrote it down on paper. Well, it felt like he was doing this and blah, blah, blah. But now that I look at it, I was probably overwhelmed, or I was really upset about my mom instead of this. And then I'm just making things up. And then I took it out on him, and then I felt bad, and then I had to go back. I just didn't want to go back. What do you say? Do you go back and you apologize for that? Or when I did go apologize for that, this is what happened. He was mad at me anyway. I don't know how to talk to people, whatever. I would process it all the way. Like, this is what I said. This is what I should have said. This is how it went. This is what he said. This is my reaction. I probably should have done this, blah, 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 blah. Where does this come from? Well, when somebody talks to me like this, it reminds me when my mom used to do that. You know, looking at the patterns in your life. And I remember trying to explain it to my mom, and she'd be like, are you blaming me? Well, it is partially part of your fault, but no, it's just the patterns in our lives. So where we assume that other people mean us harm, just because they may have done or acted in a similar way that other people in our past may have treated us. It doesn't mean that they mean it the same way. It doesn't mean that that was their intention, but we receive the information that way. And so a lot of times what I started doing was stopping and going, okay, I'm not going to assume that this stranger is treating me like my mom used to treat me because he doesn't care about what I think or whatever. And so, oh, I'm sorry, scaring Cicero. And so I would stop and be like, sometimes I would ask. I mean, if it was customer service or something, I would think, okay, he's probably going through something. It's not always about me. So I started, just back up, breathe, be quiet, take a second. It's not about me. He might be having a bad day. I think about those things instead of, sometimes you don't get in conversations with perfect strangers. You just move on about your day. You can't be like torn down by every situation, because it's not always the case of somebody meant to do this or whatever. Should they treat you like crap? No, but does it happen? Or do we receive information with an attitude when somebody didn't mean it that way? Yeah. Do we even say things with an attitude when we didn't mean it that way? Yeah. So sometimes we have to, it's not worth saying anything. But then other times, like if you knew somebody and if I said something, they're like, well, whatever's going on with your face, you have an attitude. Well, I'm fine. Well, it looks like you're not. Oh, well, I'm sorry. That's not how I intended it to be. Notice how I didn't say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry that's how you took it. That's not an apology. You may not have meant to mean something harmful, but if somebody received you, or if you made a face that says you're a complete fucking bitch, then, and if you genuinely care about people, then you can say, well, I'm sorry, that's not what I intended. This is what I meant, right? Because it's not always some people will say, well, I'm not going to apologize if I didn't do anything wrong. Well, when it comes to communication, each person is involved in that. Doesn't matter if you thought you did something wrong or not. They took it that way, and if you give a shit about them, then you apologize for it coming off that way, but that's not what you meant. This is what I meant. Because what that does is it signals to them that you care about their feelings and that that's not what your intention was. Even though you didn't believe you did it that way, it doesn't matter. You care about their emotion. That's not what I meant. So I want to make sure that you're clear that that's not what I meant. And some people are like, well, that's taking ownership. Yes, it's taking ownership for how you communicate, not necessarily for how they took it. Anyway, it's just giving a shit about people. Doodlebug is so cute. Oh, hi, Zippokers. With that said, I would spend time doing that stuff and figuring it out, and I'd have to, sometimes if somebody at customer service was rude to me, I'd be like, did you mean that? Oh, what, did I say something wrong? I'll ask that. Or did I say something to upset you? Oh, no, I'm sorry. A lot of times people will, if you ask them, they'll immediately be like, oh, I didn't mean, that's not what no, I'm sorry. Other times, if, you're in a line, there's a bunch of people waiting, it's not worth it. Just back up and be like, he's busy. Duh. That's why he's a little snappy. It's not about me. It's busy. Again, not necessarily mean they should be snapping at you, but it's easy to understand those situations because you're also human. With that being said, ow, why are you biting my toe? Hey, excuse me. Stop it. Okay, so how? Why are you biting my toe? So I spent a lot of time doing all of that, and that's kind of how I fell into things and understanding how people work and owning that even if I didn't do anything wrong or I didn't intend to do something wrong, if I did, I was going to take ownership of it, and it actually helped create a more peaceful life. Whether I did something wrong or not, if I did something that caused harm, even if I didn't think I did, but they took it that way, I was going to make it right. And I would hope people do that for me, and that's not necessarily the case. But in taking ownership of my own part, it helped me to understand people a lot better of how I got treated, because how I was believing to have been treated, where people have an attitude like it was directly at me, and sometimes it's not directly. Yes, they do it toward you, but it's not about you. They went through something else. So by me doing so, it also backed off me getting triggered a lot. Now, recently, we're jumping ahead, way ahead. I've been really struggling financially because I took time off of school for the summer so I can reset, go through the crystals and do inventory and spend some me time. All of that by also not having my loans to live on to help me through on top of it. And then Charles got sick. So I really haven't had a restful summer. Hi, Cedar. She's laying down and she inched just past. And now I see her eyes. Hi, cutie. So it didn't go as planned, right? And so this summer has been really challenging. It's been challenging over the last couple of semesters anyway. Just basically because I miss working full time, and I'm kind of sick of school. And but I'm so close to being done. I'm at dissertation, and so there's a lot of things going on. Going to work full time and then trying to really be dedicated to my dissertation. It's not just about research. It's my topic is going to require a lot of myself, going back into my trauma, researching and going back into my process of healing, doing some things that I believe I'm okay on now today, but may possibly trigger some deeper seated issues. And as much as I want to go back to counseling, I don't think that's appropriate to possibly deal with while I'm seeing clients. Now, I do have a private practice. I don't really see clients right now. I have been accepting phone calls again and trying to set up sessions. Unfortunately, they've been all spam, trying to get money. And again, while I think I'm in a good place, I'm kind of scared, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of scared of going back to school, going back to work full time with a company, and then having Charles. And so I'm between a rock and a hard place. So I guess you can call this story time, but it's educational time after the story time. So I believe I'm going to wait until Charles is done with his treatment, which is in about a month, and he'll be probably extended a little bit because we missed a lot of days of his medicine, and usually that causes an extension before he's completely cured of FIP. If you don't know about that, you can follow me on Pipers.Cat.Sanctuary, or I talk about it on my Instagram as well, and his journey. With that said, it's been extra challenging, exceptionally challenging, to the point where medicine to calm him before I give him his shot, because I have to administer the shots myself. And then even recruiting Jason to help me has been challenging because it's stressful for him, stressful for me. If I try to give him a shot and he jumps, and I have to do it 9 to 11 times just to get 3 milliliters of medicine in him. On top of having a mama cat here with 5 kittens, 5 cats of myself, and my sister dropping off another cat. So, and then there's other cats in the yard as well. So I care for about 20-something cats. It's a lot. It's a lot, and I have special needs cats already of my own. So, plus it's been, super freaking hot, and so I've been worried about the cats as well being out here, and so it's just been a lot of stress on top of trying to make money to cover my bills and the house bills, which again, when I got obsessed with crystals, I got obsessed with buying them. I had zero debt before. Now I have, I don't know, upwards of 70 grand in debt because of it. And so my payments are really high, and I also, my eldest had surgery, my eldest cat had surgery, still paying on that, so care credit card, all of these things, right? Toast, why'd you lay down beside me if you don't want me to pet you, dork? She's so weird. With all of that said, I guess I had to share a little bit of it for you to understand. It's a lot of stuff going on, and I have legitimately lost my mind a couple of times. And I'm not really a drinker either, but I do drink. I do drink now. It's the only thing that keeps me sane some days. I don't get plastered drunk or anything, just a couple here or there. That, and I tolerate liquor better than beer. And I haven't been drinking beer, and we've been enjoying some Freddy's custard and whatever. Why are you biting my foot? Stop it! So yeah, I've gained some weight. It's been stressful, and I haven't been doing my workouts, which helps to soothe me. All of this said, I'm going to kill a kitty. Stop it. All of this said, things just keep happening. I have herniated discs. I also have sciatic nerve issues. I have never had problems with pain in my calf and down to my big toe being numb, or to where I can't feel anything below my knee. I can now. Can't feel my big toe, but I can feel my leg again. Usually that's a whole other story about my herniated discs and stuff, but I manage my pain. I have super high pain tolerance, and I do pretty well. But even my TENS unit did not help with nerve issues. And I'm also highly educated in the body and pain management, stuff like that. So things I was doing wasn't working. With that being said, it was causing problems with me to walk, to go places, to get things done, all of this stuff. And it was just stacking up. And I just broke down in the parking lot one day. Stop paying my fucking foot! That's not what happened. Stop it. And at a grocery store, because I barely had any money for food. And I just kept wondering why are the hits not, why they keep coming. And then it dawned on me one day. I just sat outside. I had tons of stuff to do. I needed to finish a petition for my mentorship and my PhD. I had a bunch of other things. I had to pack orders, all this stuff. I just came outside and I sat there doing my grounding techniques like I always tell y'all to. Just watching the trees, getting absorbed in the moment so that I am in the here and now rather than worried about my bills, because at that point I'd been late one or two times on some payments. I haven't missed payments since early 2000s. And I was beating myself up for doing this whole thing and where I'm at, and maybe I should just go back to work. But then trying to be responsible, because being responsible, I need to go back to work. But that also means that if I care about my dissertation, that going back to work full-time for someone else is probably not a good idea, because I want my dissertation to be really good. Dissertation? Anyway, all of these thoughts. So much that was like really taking me down. Like, it was just bad. And I know the responsible thing would be to go get a job. But here's the thing. If I do not continue my dissertation, because I took a leave during the summer, they will kick me out of school and I won't get to finish my doctorate. So, fun times. And I just really want to be done with it, but I'm also really, really passionate about my dissertation, and I want to do it. So I just came out here, like I said, I just came out here and sat with the cats. And for the longest, the cats have been really triggering for me. I was overwhelmed. There's too many cats. They're always demanding. They need this. I got to do that. It's just too much. I can't handle all of it. I can't do all of it. It's just too much. But instead of being overwhelmed, I just let everything be. If I was late feeding them, they're not dead. So if you think about it, when we don't feel like we're in a good place in our life, or when we start becoming overwhelmed or stressed, we want to control everything. Cedar's right here. She's elusive. We want to control everything. And the more that we want to control everything, the more stressed out we become. And this is something that I used to do when I was younger. Why? Because that's kind of how my parents always taught me to be, always think ahead and always just, And so as I got older, I got really good at having great credit, having, all this money at my hands, but never using it. And then having a large savings, steady job, all of these things. I had all of these things going, and I didn't have them currently. And so I beat myself up over it. But here's the thing that I don't beat myself up over now, because in the last week or so, I have realized, it's been about probably 2 weeks since that situation, maybe. Feels like 2 weeks, might have been a week. I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad that I've gone through what I've gone through. And I will admit, I did have a reading from Moira to look at my astrological stuff, and it was recommended that I do take time off, even though I might need the money. And I'm glad I have, even though I haven't really had time off. Why? The same reason why I love counseling. I love helping people, don't get me wrong, but people don't realize that counselors are continuously reminded of the things that work in their life. If you're a good counselor, or if you do, because counseling, the difference between therapy, like professional counseling, psychiatry, or psychology, a psychologist who just basically listens, and a counselor who gives advice or gives educational stuff as well. They can, and that's what I do. I'm teaching it, and I'm going over these things again to help people continue to be or continue to develop autonomy. And in doing so, it is a great reminder for me, and it keeps me on track. But when I'm not counseling, it's like I know what to do, but I forget. And so I'm always consistently inspired as a counselor. And I was regretting taking this time off of school because everything that happened. Now, I'm not going to say that it was, that I should have stayed in school, because it would have been more stressful by far. But I'm glad this happened, because it was a great reminder to me. And I can't tell you what switch happens or what happens. It just happens when it happens. And it was me sitting outside staring at the trees. Stop fucking biting me! She's just playing. I don't know why she's biting me. Anyway, I just sat out here and just took it in, slowed down, shut my brain off, because I was so overwhelmed. And I'm just, instead of thinking, man, I just need to go in there and keep sell. Well, I'm a person of, I refuse to get on an Instagram Live or a Facebook Live. I refuse to get on there and become the seller. Because if I'm selling, stop biting me! Stop it! If I'm focused on selling, I'm not really selling to you what I want to sell. And that is spiritual views and expanded consciousness and motivation. Not toxic motivation, but I also keep it real here. And I've been real struggling. But I tried to keep the majority of that off of here for a very good reason, because I also have the type of... I have the type of personality that rubs off on people. So if I share too much, then people take that in, and I'm not going to do that to you. So, but I do share that I am struggling, and I find that that's important, because it's important to be real. But I'm also real truthful and real honest about how I view struggles. Struggles keep us moving forward. They remind us of what's important. They remind us of what we're working for. They remind us to not take things for granted, and remind us how to reevaluate. It's just a reevaluation of your life. You know what I mean? It's like I look back on the last few years of how I went stupid with crystals, like buying so many. And now I look at it, and I'm in a place now where I actually have more value for money. You know what I mean? I realize I don't have any. And technically I didn't have any before. I just had credit. I mean, I had money, but I didn't have any I was going to spend. And I've actually spent what little money I've had on Charles. Probably shouldn't have done that, but it felt like the right thing to do, whether I'm struggling or not. So if I wasn't going to change that, and I couldn't control anything else, what I can control are my thoughts. And my thoughts were all about wanting to control the situation. Sell, 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 sell. And I said, nope. If I miss a bill, I miss a bill. And here's the thing. Way back when, I just realized that all I can do is the best that I can do. And then I leave it where it's at, because I can't control everything. I can't control whether I make more money. I can't control, it's too, like I just do what I can, and then I just have to leave it at that and let the universe take care of it. So I usually don't spend a lot of time worrying at all, ever. And that's what I've been doing, is worry, worry, worry. And the whole time I started worrying so much, money wasn't coming in from, it was, but it was barely covering things. It still is, but usually when I'm not worrying, even when it comes right to the time of needing things, it magically happens, it appears. But while I was overwhelmed and it just kept getting worse throughout the day, all the constant things. And I know it's about perception, and a lot of those little things were like, oh, come on, that's just a normal daily thing you put up with. It was adding up. On top of the pain, on top of everything, on top of drinking more than usual. I still didn't get plastered or anything. I handle liquor pretty well. But yeah, it was more than just, oh, that's normal things that people deal with every day. But for people that are struggling, seriously struggling, those little things add up, and it can topple it. It's like the feather on top of everything. And what was happening was I was being completely, I hated the crystals, I hated the business, I still don't want all the crystals in the room anymore. I have a vision, but I'm not mad at it anymore. But just everything. And it made me remember how I felt a while, way back when. It reminded me when I came out here staring at the trees and taking it all in. Just sitting there one day, not focusing on what I needed to pay, not focusing on what I needed to do, not killing myself for needing a break, and not beating myself up because, if you work from home or you stay at home mom or whatever, you're not doing enough. Or if you take time off, you're being lazy. So instead of thinking all those things, I just sat here. I give up was really how I felt. But instead of I give up, like I give up, like I'm done with life, it was just like I give up trying so hard. I'm exhausted. I can't do it anymore. I just laid there and relaxed. Just looked at the trees, took it in, whatever. Played with the cats. I enjoyed playing with the cats again. Just took it in. It was hot as fuck out here. I took it in, allowed myself to sweat. I needed to, whatever. And it's just a great reminder. The following days after that, my mind was still in that same mindset. And even though I still had things that I needed to pay and needed to get done, I actually got things done. And then, even though I was like, 2 of my bills I can't pay, suddenly, I could pay them. I had the money. And then when I sat down again, and I was like, well, I haven't sold anything else. There's no way I wasn't even trying to sell anything at that point. I haven't sold anything else. I've been taking time out for me and whatever. I'm going to miss the bill. It's going to be late again. It's not like I can call them to waive the fee again. And I don't know why the flies have come out right now. I logged into another account of how I get paid through the website. And lo and behold, there was money there. Why? How? I don't know. I hadn't sold anything. So, and then I, looked at it. Is this correct? Yes, it's correct. So I guess it was things hitting later or something. So what I'm saying is, when you are not in sync with what you need to be doing, or what is best for you, the universe will continue to throw you obstacles to slow you down. And I maybe not slow you down. It's probably not the right way to say it. To stop and take it in. Maybe like, hey, pay attention here. Or, hey, maybe you need to look at this. But it just progressively got worse fast. And I feel like it was the universe saying, this is not for you. Will you pay the fucking attention? Because when I am in alignment, my disc issues aren't there. Even when I had, because they have gotten better over the years. They used to be bad. I used to have 5. And then they got better. I had 2. And then I had 3 again. And it started off as a 26 millimeter herniation, my worst one. So yeah, I don't know where I'm at now, but what I do know is I don't have any pain when I'm in balance with what I'm supposed to be doing, whether I feel like it's what I should be doing or not. If I'm passionate about it, and I accept where I'm at here and now, and I still make a plan to make change, things work out. I don't live in pain. Right now, sitting Indian style on this deck. Sorry, my nose is itching with all the flies. They just make me think of itching. Ugh. But where I'm at, I should be in pain sitting here, and I'm not. I should be doing other things that need to get done today, but this was more important because it needs to be shared, and this is one of the main reasons why I got into what I got into, because people need to know that I have also struggled. Well, you don't need to know that, but that it really is about perception and paying attention to the things in your life. That when shit keeps hitting the fan, it's telling you to stop and smell the roses. Like, pay attention. Stop trying to control everything because you can't do it. It's not possible. And when you start believing, and this is how people talk about manifesting. I don't really manifest. I just believe in my head that it's going to work itself out how it's supposed to work itself out. And oddly enough, it does. So it really has since then. It has worked itself out. Somehow, I'm not in pain. I was in excruciating pain. And even though I don't have the money to help Charles with his medicine, my sister, who has been the one, we've switched positions. She's got an exceptional job and makes amazing money, and now she lives in town. And all she wants to do is help. And I hate asking for help. She's asked me for help over the years, and I've helped her, not bitching or throwing this in my face, but I don't usually ask for help because it's always thrown in my face. And we were never super close. But the last 7 years or so, I think we've been really, really close. And I've missed her because she doesn't live close. But now she does. Anyway, with that said, their new house, the flooring was messed up, and they got money back for the flooring so that they can fix it themselves or whatever. And she had just got the money in, and she willingly gave me the rest of the money for Charles's medicine. That doesn't cover his extension, but by then I will be okay, because I'll be back in school, and I'll be okay. Financially, I know I will. That doesn't keep me from wanting to work, trust me. It's just a reason why I can handle not working full time. So that normally wouldn't have happened. She wasn't expecting that money for a while, and she got it right when I needed it. And it was really hard for me to ask for some help. And I was really only asking for a few vials, and she paid for the rest of it. And I don't know if any of y'all know this story that are on here listening. I had found out that I could get cash back from like the grocery store on one of my credit cards and not get paid more APR for it, whatever. So I was going to do that, and that was one of the things that happened. I kept trying to do it. The girl was an idiot, and I only got $60 the first time, and I was trying to get at least $200. Went to another store, that got fucked up, and it was just like, come on. So with the situation with my sister, I didn't have to do that either. And doodlebug, seriously. So I give you the story because it has reignited my memory of how this all started. And y'all aren't aware because I haven't talked about it, but I've talked about saying I've been wanting to or trying to work on my workshop and my modules for my program that I have been wanting to create. But I feed off of other people and their energy, in a room when we discuss things, and that's how all my knowledge comes out. And it's hard to sit in front of a camera and talk about things unless I'm telling you a story and I'm walking you through it. It's what's happening today. So I've tried to figure out for months, if not a year, how to start this journey with y'all, how to explain it, where does it come from, what does altering your perception mean, and how to even start, because all of this shit keeps hitting the fan. How the fuck am I supposed to have time to sit down and evaluate all this stuff? This is how you change your perception without having to do all that. We want you to do that, yes, but this is how you do it without a shit ton of work. And it's easy. Just knowing that as long as you are doing the best that you can do, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean you're praying that something's going to happen and you're going to sit on your ass and do nothing. You know what I mean? But acknowledge that sometimes you do sit on your ass and do nothing because you're exhausted from working throughout the day. And that's okay. But if you're actively working and doing the best that you can, that's all you can do, and you have to leave it there. That's it. The universe will work itself out. And I guarantee you, even if you miss that payment, somehow something's going to happen and it's going to work it out. You have to believe that it will. And even if you miss the payment, guess what? That's all right. It'll be okay. It'll work itself out too. And some people can call that toxic, but it's really not. Because the truth is, it will work itself out. You're not going to die because you missed because you have a late fee. Sure, it might ding your credit, but you're going to be all right. It's going to be all right. This too shall pass. This is just another season. So again, I didn't know where to start. And I believe that all this time I've been wanting to start in it, I really didn't have all the time to focus on it. Not that I do now, but having gone through all of these struggles, I'm ready, which is the whole reason why I took off time from school before my dissertation, because it's going to require a lot more of me if I want a good dissertation. And I was sick of not wanting to do it, like I'm not wanting to do school, not being, because I love education, I love all that, whatever. It's just usually me, and it's not been me. So I wanted to reset this summer and be ready to go. And then all this time I've been going, I didn't even get to rest or take time for myself and do all this stuff, and I was fucking pointless. But then I tell myself that I needed to take the time off, but if I'd stayed in school, I wouldn't have been able to do all of it on top of it. Thing is that I was supposed to go through exactly what I've gone through. It reminds me about the initial struggle, which is exactly what I needed to do to reconnect to that moment, to teach it to others. Not that I couldn't teach it before, but I believe that the intensity and the connection to those feelings are important when teaching it to other people. Remembering what you've been through and explaining the journey in a manner that other people go through as well. I don't know, there's just, when I hadn't been through it in a long time, minus the trauma stuff, you just don't connect to it as well as you would if it's fresh. You know what I mean? And so it gives more value, if you will. So instead of sitting around wondering what I need to talk about, here we are. And yes, it's 44 minutes in. But 'tis life. 'Tis life is not 44 minutes, but this is how it is. So let this be a reminder that a lot of people think that spirituality is religious, and it's not. Spirituality is believing in a greater something. It's beyond you. You believe that there is something beyond you that has your back, you know? I always remember those cards, the universe has my back. And that's exactly how I've felt lately after switching my mind off and enjoying the moment, being in nature, enjoying the cats again. Giving medicine is not a chore anymore. Yeah, I feel like I'm go, 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 go. I chose this life. But that's okay. You know? And it's okay that I'm in a place where I'm struggling, because I know I have the value. I know I'm worth more. But right now, this is where I'm at in my journey. And that's okay. So I encourage you to take a step back if you're going through something, or if you're really struggling financially, and a lot of people are right now. And remember what's important. You know what I mean? I believe this has given value to money again for me. Because for a long time I'm like, how come I just threw away money on crystals, but I'm so frivolous with other little things? And I still am. Why with crystals? But because with crystals, I kept saying, I see so many people selling them, it'll be okay, it'll be worth it. They'll sell. And they don't. So I got to stop telling myself that. But yeah, it's just a reminder that you can't control everything. You can't control other people, and you really, as much as you try to control your own life and your finances and everything else, it's not all under your control. What you can control is being able to stop and take a breather, whether you feel upset or not. And one of my most favorite quotes is by James Milton. It says, "The mind in itself is its own place. It can make a heaven of hell and hell of heaven." And that's absolutely true, and it's stuck with me since I read it forever ago, several decades ago. I say several, probably 2 decades ago maybe. And it's true, you can be in hell. And if you think about Viktor Frankl, he was in the Holocaust. So he was in a concentration camp, and he actually came up with logotherapy while he was there. And he believed that most people that did survive around him, as well as himself, had to do with perception. They mentally survived because of how they perceived their environment. And I feel like that significantly rings true for just about anybody. They were in hell, basically. And if you believe the best of the situation that you're in, you can survive. So this goes hand in hand with trauma. When we talk about trauma talk, you are more likely to develop PTSD and trauma. Jason's home. If you linger on that. So PTSD develops over 6 months' time as your mind, the stress and anxiety of thinking about it so much, kills off brain cells eventually, and that's how PTSD develops. But if you're not dwelling on the depressive stuff, the anxiety, the trauma, if you're not dwelling on those things, even if you're ignoring it, this will help, then it's likely that it will not develop. And it's the same thing in situations like Viktor Frankl. He lived in hell, and he thought the best of those situations. And the elusive moo cat right there. And the same thing, you could be in heaven and have everything, look at celebrities, and life is hell. So there's more to all this, but generally speaking, that's what I would hope for you is to reset yourself and to remember that this is just one moment out of many moments. And no matter what you're going through, you can't control it all. So take time, enjoy the here and now in the moment, what you can, what you have, even if shit is going on around you. And just know you'll be okay. And if you know that you'll be okay, you will. I think we'll leave it there because I'm drawing a blank on anything else I wanted to talk about. And Jason's home and Doodlebug's biting my foot again. Ow! Stop it! And it's about to rain. So if you want more on this topic, if you like more on this topic, we are going to continue going. I'm going to start discussing personal mythology, and we'll go into that some more. And I will continue talking about color therapy, the days of the week, and the crystals coinciding in that. And if y'all like that, with the card pulls and everything I've done as well, let me know. Sound off below. Share this with your friends. Please subscribe to the channel, and I will continue making these things. I hope y'all are doing well. I'm sending my best. And I hope you enjoyed my story. I'm sure there was more I needed to talk about or wanted to talk about, but I'm drawing blank. So that must be where I'm at. Must be the end of it today. But yeah, sending my best. Y'all take care.